two things I would offer that really profoundly help in an organization, and they're both religion for me. And it changed the course of my life, changed the course of my business. Number one, I learned to start with why, right? So I gave you the example before. I didn't tell people what I do, I tell people what I believe, right? So when you're flying home on the flight, after this event, you'll probably sit next to somebody on a plane and you have plane conversations where somebody turns to you and goes, "What do you do?" And you go, "I'm a chiropractor." And they go, "Cool." And except for the 10% of people who want to talk to a chiropractor, that conversation is over. Because nobody cares about what you do. And by the way, if you said, "What do you do?" and they go, "I'm in marketing," you're going to go, "Cool." Right? So the two things I did. Number one, I stopped talking about what I did and I only started talking about what I believed. Right? You heard the hypothetical example I gave a moment ago. You say, "I love what I do every single day. I help people find ways to live a more inspiring life." Oh my God, how do you do that? Believe it or not, I'm a chiropractor. And then you can talk about you for the next 2 hours if you want, right? So number one was I learned to start with why. I learned to start with what I believe, not what I did. The second thing is the law of diffusion of innovations. It became a religion for me, right? Really, really quickly, law of diffusion of innovations. All populations sift across the standard deviation, the bell curve. If you have high performers, you have low performers, you have an average, always, right? I know in this room, there's a percentage of people who are just nodding their head going, "Oh, I love Simon." I know there's a percentage of people in this room who go, "He's an idiot," right? And then I know there's an average who are kind of open-minded, right? I know that coming in. So the law of diffusion tells us that the first 2.5% of any population are your innovators. These are your big idea people. Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, right? Then you have your early adopters. These are the people with a higher risk tolerance. They're willing to try something new, be a part of something that reflects their own beliefs. They're willing to spend more money, make more effort, travel further to see you, go out of their way, because somehow you reflect their beliefs. Then you have the early and late majority, more cynical, more practical. What's in it for me? Will I get my money back if it doesn't work out, right? And then your laggards, the only reason they partake in anything because you have no choice. They have no choice anymore. Clearly, we all want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea. In other words, we all want the bell. And usually what we do is we throw all of our efforts at the bell, right? Which is why we have promotions and sales and guarantees. We're talking to people with low risk tolerance. And what I learned is that with the law of diffusion, if you can get 15 to 18% market penetration, there's a social phenomenon that happens called the tipping point. And it just goes. If you ignore what I'm telling you, you'll always get about 10%. I guarantee you 10% of your patients, they love you. Oh, you love them rather. Oh, I love them. They get it, right? That's not enough to make the system tip. And so I got extremely good at figuring out who was an early adopter and who wasn't. So people would call me up and they say, "I heard about you. Convince me why I should hire you." Not an early adopter. So I would say, "Don't." And this is at a time where I needed every dollar. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had no money in the bank. And I would turn down business with people who were the wrong fits. I'll get you later. The people I said yes to were the ones who believed what I believed, because I started with why. And they would say things to me like, "You're onto something. I don't think it's perfect, but you're doing something and I really like it." I'd say yes to those. And they did more to build my practice than I could, because they believed what I believed, that they would tell more people about me and my work than anybody else. And so my work spread with $0 in marketing, because I started to get really good at working with people who believed what I believed and they told their friends.